Hello and welcome to the Restricted Area Podcast, where we talk all things basketball. Today we'll discuss the conference finals in the NBA and do a finals preview, as well as talk some WNBA action. I'm your host, Alex Perez, joined by co host Logan Hatfield and the other co host, Ben Miller. How we doing, fellas?
Doing pretty good, man. How are you?
Not too shabby. How you doing, Logan?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful. I am doing wonderful.
I figured you were. All right, so we'll just get right into it. We'll get into the series that I know Logan is a little more excited to talk about than the other. The Thunder defeated the T Wolves 4-1 to advance to the finals. So, Logan, what'd you see from your team?
Well, one thing I saw from the series as a whole is everybody wants to be the face of the league until it's time to play against the face of the league. Um, I what I saw from the Thunder was excluding the absolute fluke that was Game Three. Um, I saw 4 out of 5 games of entirely swarming defense and some of the best team defense I've seen played by a team since opening tip off of the season. They are winning games true to their identity, and it's defense creating turnovers that turn into points. I saw a tweet during the Nuggets series that kind of is resonating with me still. When you turn the ball over against the Thunder, it's not a matter of if they're going to score or not; it's if they're going to get 2 or 3 from it. And that's kind of the identity they've been playing with, especially during the postseason. And my theory of Anthony Edwards, he's a great player, great young talent. However, what's he gonna do when Lou Dort gets thrown at him, and then he gets the switch, and it's Alex Caruso, and then he gets a switch again, and it's Casey Wallace. And I think that not having a good enough other option on the perimeter there, that really kind of hurt him. I think he can create for himself. He can, and that showed up in Game Three. But all the other games, I didn't really see the ant that I've been seeing all year. So I think it was just a lot of confusing defensive schemes being thrown at him, and I really think that they stayed true to their identity. And in 5 games, I thought it was going to go further, but after that first game, I kind of figured, I don't know if this will go past 5. But
Right.
happy for the guys, and I can't wait for what's to come next week.
I'm sure. Ben, anything stand out to you?
Yeah, I mean, just looking back at Game Five, OKC winning 124 to 94 over Minnesota. Holmgren played great, 22 points. Williams played great, 19, and SGA putting up 34 points. I mean, overall though, it was dominant from start to finish by the Thunder. I mean, they started out the game with a 26-9 lead, showing why they are the best defensive team in the league, and they're proving why they deserve to be champions. And the fact that they held Minnesota to a 41% shooting night was absolutely mind-boggling. Like I said, it just shows how good this defense is, and they deserve to be champions, man.
Absolutely. I just noticed a few things. Game four was probably my favorite game of the playoffs, honestly. I know there were more exciting comebacks and things, but it was just tight throughout. Shout out the Minnesota bench who scored 64 points and kept it from being an absolute stinker. Uh, Terrence Shannon with 9, and then Nikhil Alexander Walker with 23. So good on him. But Ann and Randall combined for 6 of 20 and 1 for 10 from 3. So you're not going to win that game.
No.
And then OKC was fantastic. Career playoff high, 40, something like from the MVP. And then Jay Will with a career high, 34, playoff career high. And then fouling up 3 worked this time. So that was cool to see for them. But OKC, 42 points in the paint this time, the least of the series. Anyways, game 5, 124-94. Not much to talk about. OKC just proving they're better again. Conley, McDaniels, and Gobert combined for 7 points. That's 3 starters.
Wow.
Yeah. And OKC gave up 9 first quarter points. I'm not saying I was right by saying that game 3 was kind of like Indiana Cleveland game 3, but I think I hit the nail on the head there. And then, so yeah, that's really the only things I noticed. Game 4 and game 5 kind of went exactly how I planned on them to. SGA just kind of proved why he's MVP, honestly.
Yeah, the main thing that I saw that kind of gave me even more confidence was in Game 4. Every time that Minnesota went on like a small little run, it was a timely shot by Williams, SGA, Holmgren. Everyone was just making those timely shots, and then just so it was always just a little bit out of reach, even at the end when it was a 2 point game. That game felt like the Thunder were up 15 at that point because you knew every time that there would be three straight possessions of Minnesota scoring. OKC would come down and hit a mid-range jumper to extend the lead to 6, and then it was fine again. But I I'm very very excited. SGA very well deserved Western Conference Finals MVP.
Hmm.
I think he's trying to hit the trifecta of MVPs this year, and I firmly believe that he will.
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to seeing what Shea Gilgeous-Alexander can do in the finals against the Pacers. I mean, just looking back on his season, though, he's been amazing from start to finish. He's just been so consistent. He's obviously been the catalyst on why the Thunder are here today. So yeah, just really looking forward to seeing what he can do. And I agree. I feel like that if they can pull it out, he's gonna run away with all three MVPs.
Speaking of that Indiana team, we'll go ahead and move on to that series that wrapped up last night, where Indiana won in 6 games over the Knicks. So, Ben, what'd you notice from the series?
Let me pull it up real quick. Sorry about that, guys.
No problem.
Game 6. Oh, here we go. Yeah, I mean, overall though, great win for Indiana. Going back to the finals for the first time since 2000. That's obviously impressive with a 125 to 108 win over the New York Knicks. But from the beginning, though, all five starters scored in double figures, which was obviously impressive. Defense showed up, forcing turnovers. Had the ability to score in transition, outscoring the Knicks 25 to 10. So yeah, overall though, what a great performance by Tyrese Halliburton and the Indiana Pacers, and they deserve to be in the finals. They've definitely showed it throughout this playoffs, and I feel like they can do some great things against the Thunder this year. So yeah, overall, great performance.
Logan, what stood out to you?
The dagger that Tyrese Halliburton hit in Game 6 from about I want to say Gary, Indiana was where he was standing when he shot that.
Yeah.
Um, that was, I mean, that shot kind of just epitomized the entire series. I feel like, being up by that much, and then you got to put a shot up. The clock's still rolling, so he threw that up there and it went in, and I thought, wow, I mean, that's what a way to capitalize a fairly like it's hard to say that a series can be dominant when it goes to 6 games, but there was no point in this series where I felt like the Knicks really had a chance.
Right.
There was a lot of narratives being pushed, oh, the NBA doesn't want a small market finals, but like at some point you got to realize like the Pacers were in full control this whole time. When they won the first 2 games in New York and seized home court, it was wraps from there. There was no way that the Knicks were going to come back. But I do think this is really good for the NBA. Seeing two small markets that have built rosters and been able to sustain them and not bought rosters. I think it's good to see this, and it's good for the game. No matter how many of the casuals aren't going to be watching. Real ball knowers and real fans are going to be tuning in, and it's going to be a fun series, and I can't wait. I'm very 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 pleasantly surprised with how the Pacers showed up and how they've showed up all playoffs. They've taken the doubt in every single series and just kind of went with it. And that is a scary thing going into the NBA Finals. But I'm sure both teams are going to be ready, and I can't wait to see what they got for us 4 days from now.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was kind of the same way, honestly. I think it's just kind of my old head mentality of like I want to see the guys I grew up watching in those moments. But I think something I had to realize, and a bunch of other NBA fans need to realize, we want a new era until it shows up. And we talked about how much we hate super teams and how much we wish teams built their teams and stuff like that. And now it's here, and now most of us are complaining about it. I don't think I'll be complaining about it anymore now that I realize, this is kind of what we asked for. So can't really complain too much about that. But getting into the game stuff, Indiana should have had a 3-0 lead, but gave up that 20-point lead because Tibbs finally figured out you have to use your bench. 22 points from them in that one, which is more than game one and two combined, by the way. And then game four, Indiana came back and converted 20 points off of turnovers. And Siakam and Hallie 30 and 11, and Matherin had 20. That's his best game of the series by far, and maybe his best game of the playoffs, honestly. So shout out to him.
Yep.
And then again, game five, Matherin went crazy again, 23. And then one Indiana starter went for 10 plus. So that is kind of what killed them. That's why the Knicks won game five. But then game six with Papa Halliburton back in the building, they got that done. And I don't know that they win a game seven in New York, honestly, though. So it's a good thing they wrapped this one up because that is a crazy environment that they would have had to go back to.
Oh, definitely.
Everything went wrong for the Knicks, though. Brunson and Cat were terrible. Uh, Landry Shamet being the best bench player, I don't think you want that on any playoff team. I think many teams have seen that before, the Clippers. Anyways, and then for Indiana, everything went right. Siakam, 26 through three quarters. That's a pretty decent start, I guess.
Yeah.
And then 30 and 11 for Hallie, who was big down the stretch, and he had a record 63 assists in this series, which is the most since Magic Johnson in the 1991 conference finals. So
Wow,
shout
that's a
out to
stat
him.
right there.
Yeah, shout out to him for sure. Any final thoughts from these conference finals?
Yeah, I mean the fact that Tyrese Halliburton made history with 63 assists, like you said, Alex. Since Magic Johnson, though, that's absolutely mind-boggling. That's a stat that I didn't even come across, but I mean, it's not shocking because that's been the thing with Halliburton, though. That's the best part of his game is his ability to find his teammates and his ability to create for his teammates. So yeah, overall, that's a hell of a stat for sure.
Absolutely. So looking forward to these finals, OKC versus Indiana. Logan, we'll go with you since you have some invested interest. So what do you see going into the series?
I see the over the last few months, arguably the two best teams that they've been playing the best ball over the last 2 months. The Pacers got hot at the end of the season at the right time, and that's showing why the whole season isn't exactly a good determinator of what you're going to do. If you're hot at the right time, you're hot at the right time. And I'm seeing two hungry teams and two teams who very much want it. Um, I have seen some of the best ball these playoffs coming from the stars of these teams. Halliburton, Siakam, Williams, Gilgeous-Alexander, Holmgren, and everyone's stepping up at the right time. And it's going to be a fun series. I don't know if it'll be a long series, but I certainly think it's going to be fun. We're going to get to see two of the most fun teams to watch. And if I had to make an official prediction right now, just to be safe, I'd probably say Thunder in six. However, after watching the first game or two, that prediction might shorten. It just depends. OKC has far and away the best home crowd in the playoffs so far. Shout out to everybody for wearing the shirts. They wear the
Where are the
shirts, they
shirts?
show up. Yes, wear the shirts. And yeah, who knows? There's a very slight, very very slight off chance you might catch me up in Indiana for Game 3. We're gonna be looking at some ticket prices, and we might be delving into the savings a little bit. But
Yep.
I'm excited. As a fan of the Thunder, I've been a fan for quite a while. It's a new day. It's a new day. It's been 13 years, and I cannot wait for it to get started. But yeah, give me Thunder in six as of now. But talk to me next week, and we'll see if my answer to that has changed.
Ben, what do you see?
All right, so these are my things that I'm looking out for. in the finals, the Pacers versus the Thunder. Coming into game one, though, obviously you got two elite offensive teams that can really put points on the board. Both teams know how to finish strong in transition. The Pacers have outscored their opponents by 8.5 points per game in transition, and both can really shoot the three ball well. And it'll be interesting to see how this elite Thunder defense will try to limit Tyrese Halliburton. But yeah, overall though, I'm really excited to see these teams duke it out. And if I had to make a prediction right now, I would go Thunder in seven.
Nice. I also have the Thunder in seven. I think these are two very evenly matched teams. But if you give me two evenly matched teams, I'm going to go with the one that has the best player on it, and that's the one with SGA. So that'll be the Thunder. But
Yep.
I do think Indiana does have a puncher's chance just because I feel like they rely less on their stars than the Thunder do. Like, I don't think anybody is worried about anybody outside of J Dub or Shea going for 30 plus or something like that. Maybe Chet sometimes, but it's very rare now. But now with Indiana, you have Siakam or Miles Turner or Halliburton that can do that, I feel like. So you have more options there, but I do feel like both benches are kind of even too. Both more defensive, so I don't think either one really gives offensive punch, in my opinion. But I do think it will be a very even series, and Indiana has a puncher's chance. But I just think that OKC will get it done because they have the best player on the floor, and usually that's what it comes down to when it's an even match team. Logan, I saw a bit of a face.
Yeah,
Thoughts?
you mentioned the benches being a little bit similar. I will give Indiana the credit of having like a top tier bench in the league. I just really think they're they're about to be matched up against arguably one of the deepest teams that like we've seen go on a playoff run. A lot of teams they really shrink the bench and shorten up their rotations for the playoffs. The Thunder really have not been doing that. Now, they have been picking and choosing each series which guys to use. Like you saw a lot more of Jay Will in that series against the Nuggets because he was one of the only players on the court that could kind of figure out how to guard Jokic. And then this next series against the Timberwolves, you saw maybe 5 total minutes of Kenrich Williams against Denver. Kenrich Williams came in and gave the Thunder extremely valuable minutes off the bench. And that's what I think separates the Thunder's bench from Indiana's is that they've got about 6 guys on that bench that are Swiss Army knives and you can really use them in a lot of different ways. And I think that, especially after game one, I think Coach Dagnall's going to see just how he can utilize, obviously Caruso and Casey Wallace, they're going to get their minutes. And then from there on out, it's going to be matchups. And we're going to see who's coming off the Pacers bench and who's going to be the Thunder. It's going to be a bench chess match, but I feel like when you have as deep of a bench as both of these teams have, I'm going to take the one that is going to clamp up the other one and has been clamping up teams all series. So I will give Indiana their credit, but I think the Thunder bench is a lot better.
Fair enough. I do think they both provide a defensive spark, but we will just have to see. But now we will move on to foul or flop, where we bring you our favorite quote of the week and then either determine whether it's foul, whether they have a point, or whether it's flop and they're selling baloney. Ben was new to the podcast, so he unfortunately does not have one, which is okay. We'll get him next time. But Logan, you want to start with yours?
Yeah, so mine is actually not a quote.
Okay.
Mine is a video that came last night during the Eastern Conference Finals MVP presentation.
Okay.
While Ernie was announcing it, Tyrese Halliburton started to point at himself and kind of like act like he knew he was going to win it. And then there was a bit of a shocked look on his face when they said Pascal Siakam.
Hmm.
I at first I thought it was funny, and then I started to do some thinking like, did he actually deserve it? Me personally, I think that that's a flop. I do think Pascal Siakam deserved the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. Yes, Halliburton had some very good games, but that Game 5 stinker he put up really, really soured his chances at it. Now, I know it was a close vote. I just saw the voting breakdown, but I do think that award deservedly went to Pascal Siakam. So I'm giving Tyrese Halliburton a flop for this one. as much as he probably thought he deserved it, he unfortunately did not.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. I would say that's a flop. It usually does go to the just the best player overall on the team, but I'm glad they actually made the decision to go with the person who made the biggest impact in each game, which I feel like, as you said, Siakam was the one. Would you agree,
Yep.
Ben?
Yeah, I agree 100% with you guys. I feel like Siakam he earned that MVP award, and yeah, I'm gonna give Tyrese Halliburton a flop. And the fact that when Ernie was given the presentation, Halliburton was pointing out himself, thinking that he had it though. I thought that was kind of funny. So yeah, I give Tyrese Halliburton the flop, and I agree though with this performance in Game Five. I had a feeling that was going to hurt his chances winning the Eastern Conference MVP. So yeah, that's my flop.
Fair enough. Well, mine comes from the great Carl Anthony Towns. I think it was after Game Five. He was asked, "Why do you keep doing these dumb fouls?" And he said, "God only knows." Uh, that's a flop for me because, Cat, I know it's because you're a bad defender. That's why you keep doing these dumb fouls. Um, he may be one of the best offensive centers, definitely one of the best offensive centers in the league now, maybe ever. But he is a terrible defender and one that was hunted on pick and rolls quite often. So those fouls came because you were usually behind the play or didn't know where to be when you were in front of the play. So, Cat, God knows we know that's a flop for me.
Yeah, I'm with you there. That's a flop because the cat I knew when he was in Lexington was blocking anything that came his way, and then he gets into the league and all of a sudden like slowly just regresses on defense. It's
Mm-hmm.
been something we've been seeing, and it may very well have to do with the fact that he's playing 40 minutes a night now under Tibbs' system. But I
Could
I
very well.
do I do think that I have to give him a flop there because, like you said, we know why you're committing those dumb fouls. Obviously, like I'm a huge Carl Towns fan, but you got to be realistic sometimes. And yeah, so us and God, I think both know the answer to that question.
Would you agree, Ben?
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a flop. I mean, yeah, just going back to Carl Anthony Towns' days at Kentucky. I mean, he was an elite defender, though. Like Logan said, he was blocking everything, and just seeing him in the league, obviously not the best defender. So yeah, I would give him a flop.
And this is coming from all Kentucky fans. So this does hurt for us to say, but
Yeah,
it's something we got to say.
right.
Um, but moving on to some WNBA action we had this week. Let's take a look at the standings real quick. Uh, in first is the Liberty, who are undefeated uh, and just beat down the Sun today. I don't know if you all saw that score, but it was ugly.
That was
Second is
ugly.
Minnesota. Third is Atlanta. Fourth is Phoenix. Fifth is Las Vegas. Sixth is Seattle. Seventh is Washington. Eighth is Golden State. Ninth is Indiana. Anyways, 10th is LA. 11th is Chicago. 12th is Dallas. And 13th is Connecticut. And again, rightfully so. Um, but in this past week, Caitlin Clark went out with a quad injury and will be out for at least another week. From a Fever standpoint, fan. I hope not longer than that because, wow, it's been ugly. Logan, care to speak to what you've seen from the team in this week that they've been without Caitlin?
Yeah, it's like a snake without its head. It's like you said, it's been ugly. They have players, and I feel like they have a solid team, but they need that driving force in Caitlin Clark because she provides such like a level of reassurance when she's on the floor. I there's nobody else in the league I trust to like pull up a shot from the logo because who else is gonna make that but her? It's she like I said, she's a driving force and she's kind of like a steady hand leading the Fever. And without her, it feels like they're just playing lost. And um, I'm hoping that she can come back and kind of right the ship. But it honestly, with the amount of games that get played in the WNBA season, missing a week is a fairly large thing. So it's going to be a struggle. But I think the Fever can get back into it. But I don't know if they're going to be built for the stretch run. If this is how they're going to be if they're losing Kaylin Clark.
Ben?
Yeah, I 100% agree. With Caitlin Clark going out with that quad injury, it's obviously been a struggle for Indiana because, in a way, I was a little confused why they're struggling without her though, because obviously they got talent. They got Aaliyah Boston, they got Lexi Hall, they got some shooters, and yeah, but they need to get Caitlin Clark back as soon as possible because without her, um, I don't know what they would do without her. So
Yeah, they. I can answer that. They unfortunately don't have a true point guard now that
yeah,
Caitlin Clark's out. Sydney Colson is serviceable for sure, but she went out with an injury that hopefully doesn't keep her out for long. But J.C. Sheldon kind of dove for her legs, but that's a story for another day. Um, but yeah, just some stats to go through. The Fever averaged 88 before the injury and averaged 80 since. They lost to the Sun and the Mystics. Mystics, not a bad team. The Sun, again, just lost by a billion uh, to the New York Liberty, who, before the injury, the Fever only lost to by two. So I feel like that speaks to the discrepancy in talent now. And then more turnovers. There was never more than 14 turnovers in a game before Caitlin, and they're averaging 17 now in the games without her. And
wow,
then 3 point percentage, they're just not finding open shooters anymore. They average 31% from the 3 point line now, and they didn't have a game under 31% from three except once before the injury. Now, I will be the one to say that they have slipped up in a couple of those games with Caitlin, and they could have definitely had a better record than they showed. But they're obviously not even close to the same team without Caitlin.
yeah.
And Logan, I think you kind of spoke to it, but just to get your thoughts further, does this time out away from Caitlin kind of take her out of that MVP race?
Yeah, like I said, with how many games are played, she's going to be missing like what is considered a significant amount of time in WNBA standards, and I really think, well, honestly, even if she could have kept up what she was doing, I don't think anyone's going to take that away from Nafisa Collier now.
Mm-hmm.
That was she is playing out of her mind right now. So I'm very pleasantly surprised with what we're seeing from her. But yeah, I do think that CC is unfortunately out of the MVP race now.
Ben, would you agree?
Yeah, I would agree. I hate to say it, but I mean, in a way, I was kind of going back and forth on this. Is if we should take Clark's name out of the MVP race? But now that I'm thinking about it, I would say yeah, because like Logan said, the number of games that are played in the WNBA, she's missing a extensive amount of time. But yeah, I mean, it's really unfortunate though because going into the season, I'm sure a lot of people had Caitlin Clark as their MVP going into the season, but with the injury that happened, unfortunately, it we might have to wait another year for Caitlin Clark to get that MVP though. But in a way, I was kind of thinking like if she were to come back healthy and get back to the player that we're used to seeing, and as long as the Fever are competitive for a playoff spot, maybe there is a chance. But as of right now, for the most part, I'm just saying probably not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't see it either. She's missing at least 4 games, and with the number of games the WNBA plays, that's a tenth of the season, which is a
Yep.
significant chunk of the season. But
Hmm.
Logan, as you spoke to it, Nafisa Collier, I don't think anybody was taking that from her anyways. Just to run through some of the numbers: 27 points per game, 7 rebounds per game, 3 assists, 2.5 steals per game, 1.5 blocks per game, 52% from the field, and 43% from three. She is she is the most dominant player on one of the top two teams in the league. So it's kind of hard to take that away from her. And you always got to go against Asia as well, who's averaging 23.6 points per game, 11 rebounds, 4.5 assists, 2.2 steals, 2.4 blocks, and shooting nearly 50% from the field, too. So Kalen would be in for a big time struggle, big time race. Some ground to make up if she were to come back, even if she
Hmm.
came back completely healthy. But I'm sure that will take some time because I'm sure she's going to try to come back before she's actually should come back because that's just the type of competitor she is. And then that will add to time that she's kind of wearing off the rust and not 100%. But talking about Nafisa Collier and one of the top two teams in the league. Them as well as the Liberty are both undefeated. So the question is, who's the better team? Logan, who you got?
Well, you mentioned that they are both undefeated. They're both on a crash course to see each other in the finals again.
Mm-hmm.
I think right now, what I'm seeing from the Liberty kind of puts them a little bit over the Lynx. I know the Lynx have the best player in the league right now. However, the Liberty, I think, have a better conglomerate of talent that they have right now. You know, Sabrina Ionescu, she may have lost a fan in the last few days in me. However, I can't take away that she is playing very well right now. Brianna Stewart's playing very well right now. Everyone on the Liberty is playing very well right now. And you saw it. They went on a 78-26 run today. That was one of the numbers I saw. They also broke the single game record for 3-pointers in the WNBA.
19.
Yeah, which is another stat I saw. I think right now I gotta give the Liberty that. Just this may call it recency bias, but this game today showed me a lot. It doesn't matter who you're playing. Winning by that much is ridiculous, and so I'm gonna go with the Liberty right now. But I think if it keeps going like this, the Lynx might be able to hang with them. And like I said in my predictions, I do think that they're gonna meet again in the finals, and I think the Lynx might get their get back this time around.
Ben,
All
what do you
right.
think?
Yeah, I was kind of going back and forth though because, like we talked about, both these teams are the top two teams in the WNBA this year with both 6-0 records. But I mean, obviously, I would have to go with the New York Liberty just because they're playing really well offensively. One of the best offensive teams this season. That's a team that really knows how to put points on the board and. I mean, just looking at that squad itself, Sabrina Ionescu, Brianna Stewart, everybody is forming really good chemistry. They're all playing really well, and like we talked about, though, their 3-point shooting that they did today against the Connecticut Sun, overall, just that dominant performance. I would after today, I would say the New York Liberty over Minnesota.
All right, well, let's run through the numbers some. The Liberty are first in points per game. The Lynx are fifth. Liberty first in assists. Lynx second. Liberty first in blocks. Lynx are seventh. Liberty third in steals. Lynx are eighth. Liberty are first in field goal percentage. Lynx are fourth. Liberty are fourth in 3-point percentage, and Minnesota is fifth. And then free throw percentage of the Liberty are second, and Minnesota is fourth. So all the numbers say the Liberty are better, but I'm still going to say the Lynx are better. And here's why. They've been down 2 starters for pretty much the whole season so far. And Kayla McBride, who averaged 15 points per game last season, and Alana Smith, who was one of the best stretch shooters in all of the league last season as well. And they are just now getting brought back into the rotation and back from injuries. So if they're putting up these numbers without 2 of their starters from a team from the finals last season, I think those numbers will start to get better and better and become even closer to the Liberty. And kind of like Logan said, I think they're on a crash course for the WNBA finals again. And I do think the Lynx are very hungry to get their revenge. And I do think they will get it because Nafisa Collier is kind of on a crash course to being the best player in the league and maybe being WNBA Finals MVP. Something like we've seen this year, in the NBA. But I digress.
I think it is criminal that we have to wait till July 30th to see these teams play each other.
Yeah.
By the way,
Yeah, that is a crime.
ridiculous that it's that long until we see them match up. Hey, who knows? Maybe they'll both still be undefeated at that point. That would be electric.
Let's hope. Let's hope. That would be electric for sure.
We can see the Fever in the Sky play 8 times before then, but no, we don't want to see the top 2 teams play before then. Anyways, again, I digress. Now it's time to see who really knows ball as we do our weekly WNBA Pick Em. I will let Colton update the standings when he gets back next week. But for now, we will pick our games for this week. Tuesday, 8 o'clock, ESPN3, Phoenix at Minnesota. Logan, who you got?
I can't pick against Minnesota right now. There's no way. I know, the Mercury are solid. The Mercury are solid. However, I can't go against the Lynx right now. I'm gonna ride until the wheels fall off.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going with Minnesota. I mean, Collier, like we talked about, she's playing really really well. One of the best offensive players this year, and she's definitely up there for MVP. And I feel like they Minnesota, they're not going to slow down. I feel like they're going to stay perfect. They are going to go to 7-0.
I would agree. The Lynx get this one done. Mercury really good and probably have the best big three in the league. But as I just said, Minnesota's the best team in my opinion, and they finally have a fully healthy team. So I think this one will still be close because that big three is so electric for Phoenix. But I think Minnesota does get it done, and it may not even be close because Minnesota's winning games by double digits on average. But anyways, the second game I have is Saturday, 3 p.m. on ABC, Las Vegas at the Golden State Valkyries. Kate Martin's first game versus Las Vegas since switching teams. She hasn't been seeing many minutes, but I still like the storyline. So, Logan, who you got?
I'm with you on that one. I'm a big fan of the storyline there. So go ahead, give me the Valkyries. I think the storylines are going to be there, and mysteriously, Kate Martin's minutes and usage will go up in this game.
Ben?
All right. Kind of going back and forth right now with this one. I'm not going to lie. You know what? I'm going to go with the Las Vegas Aces. I feel like in this one, Asia Wilson, she's going to go off like she did earlier this week. So I feel like she's gonna keep the momentum going for that Vegas squad. So look out for the Aces.
All right, and then I think I'm going to go with Aces as well. I don't think the Valkyries have enough offense, if I'm being completely honest with you. And I don't think they definitely don't have front court players that'll give the Aces problems. And I think that's the only Aces weakness right now is their front court and their issues that they're having both defensively and offensively there, apart from Asia. So give me the Aces in this one. And then any other storylines we want to highlight really quick from the WNBA?
Let's see.
Ben, I know you had a little something.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just looking at the Mets earlier this week, the rookie duo, they're really showing out this year. How do you say her last name? Arafin. She recorded her fourth double double in a row, averaging
Mhm.
13.8 points, 11.2 rebounds per game, shooting 51%. And her teammate Crochin and her combined for 36 points versus the Las Vegas Aces. So overall, though, it just feels really good to see these two rookies coming together in their first season to get Washington where they're at right now, and looking forward to seeing what they can do earlier in the future.
Yeah, Riafin and Citron have been playing out of their minds in Washington, and that's why I wasn't as mad that the Fever lost to them, even though they kind of gave it to them pretty easily. And but the Connecticut Sun loss is still insane. But yeah, I'm excited to see those rookies and how they progress. Logan, any thoughts on Washington?
Yeah, no, I mean, Washington. We've been watching them all year, and I think they're looking solid. But I kind of want to see more. I do want to see more from them, but obviously that's what this regular season's for. I can't wait to see what they can bring
I'm excited to see if Brittany Sykes can stay on the scoring tear that she's on because she's second
for
in the
sure.
league right now.
Yeah.
But I don't know how much those numbers stay consistent. But we will see.
Right.
But now it is time for our shooting star segment, where we pick the our favorite baller of the week. Ben, you want to go first?
Yeah, I got you. My shooting star this week is Asia Wilson from the Las Vegas Aces, who recently had a 35-point performance and 13 rebounds versus the Los Angeles Spark. She became the first player to record 35 points, 10 rebounds, three steals, excuse me, and three blocks in a game. So yeah, that is my superstar this week, Asia Wilson.
Logan?
My superstar of the week is Alicia Gray from the Atlanta Dream. She has been averaging 24 and a half points per game over her last four. And that was something that really stuck out to me. I had a few names I was I was going to go through, but it came down to Alicia Gray and Sabrina Ionescu for me. And you know what? I let personal bias take this one away from her. So yeah, I gotta shout out Alicia Gray. She's been playing phenomenal this season and has been a big bright spot for Atlanta. And I think she's going to continue on her rise and maybe make an All WNBA push.
Absolutely. I was actually going to go with Asia, but Ben did, so I'll go with somebody different. I'll just give Tyrese Halliburton his flowers some more to have that series amount of assists and be the first to do it since Magic Johnson for somebody that was rated the most overrated player in the league is pretty funny. How many people voted in this? Let's not talk about that. It was probably like five, but still, to have that on your back and still be able to come out and prove that overrated you certainly are not is pretty crazy for them, and I'm glad to see that uh, Indiana was able to get it done. And also, slight shout out to Miles Turner, who survived all the trade allegations and still been able to get through it, and now is in a finals. But I guess if you all don't have any final thoughts, that will do it for this
I think we're
episode.
good.
All right, well, that will do it for this episode of the Restricted Area Podcast. Subscribe to the CX Podcast Network for more sports talk, like NASCAR, which I know Ben is on, and some MLB talks that are coming this week too. I think Logan's going to be a part of that.
Yes, yeah, we are. We're going to be recording tomorrow, I believe, for the first episode. So I can't wait to get started on that.
And I can't wait to see that. And go check out the North Benchwarmers page as well. Had an interview this week with Austin Elmore. It was a really great interview, and just can't wait for you all to see that one. Follow me on Twitter at the Wheel Deal. Logan and Ben, if you all want to tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah. Logan
You can
H
find me.
underscore 4. Oh, you got
Sorry.
it.
Yeah, you can find me at Ben Miller PXP on Twitter, and yep.
Yeah, I'm Logan H underscore 4 on all platforms. So if you want to look for me anywhere, find me anywhere.
Well, thank you too for being on the show, and thanks everybody for watching and listening. And we will see you all in the next one. Be smooth.